Good evening and welcome back to the YouTube world. I was asked recently to talk about intuition at a lecture, and it made me kind of feel that I wanted to do a YouTube about intuition and my thoughts on intuition and how intuition works, and give you some practical examples or some practical practices that you can do moving forward to enhance or enlighten your intuition. So intuition is a tremendous topic, and intuition can lighten your load. It can also give you direction and give you answers as you move through your day, through your life. It can help you with your family. It can help you in the work environment. Intuition is something that is just a beautiful cornerstone of life that has been somewhat deleted over the years or through the centuries, right? So what basically is intuition, and where do we get it from, and where do we receive it? So intuition is not something that we necessarily receive from somewhere else, or whether it's coming from anywhere else. It really starts with us, and it comes from us. You've heard of people talk about, well, I have a gut feeling. That very well could be intuition. I've heard people say, and in my process, I hear a voice. That could be intuition as well. And I don't want to scare anybody or get anybody into this, oh my God, I'm hearing voices thing. Hearing voices is really quite natural. That voice that you hear, whether it's an inner thinking, or it could be a voice from a different possibility. And we're going to talk about intuition and different possibilities as we move forward, because there is a real unique thing that we have, and I say we have, other than the animal world, is we have an inherent intuition, or I believe in some way, shape, or form, our intelligence, our heightened sense of awareness has been lost. But our intuition is really derived on a frequency scale or a vibrational scale, where we receive it. You could say we receive it from spirit. And when people say spirit, they conjure up these ideas, well, it's a ghost, or it's my mother, or whatever. And it could be really whatever you think it is. And I want everybody to realize that if you consider spirit, or you consider spirit as part of your intuition, this is a good thing. This isn't a weird thing. This isn't something that we just got over this course of time that we call the New Age. Intuition is something that has flourished since the beginning of time. If we look at teachings biblically or from ancient times, we know that psychic abilities are evidently part of our DNA, part of our structure. Even if you look at the story of the Sumerian woman in the well, when she was drawing water and Jesus asked her for water, that's a really direct confirmation that if you consider that Jesus was actually intuitively picking up on that woman, that you spoke right, no, you've had 7 wives or 5 wives. So intuition is a cornerstone that's been with us for a long time. We can look at that as the possibility of that inner feeling, or that gut feeling, as fight or flight, right? We get that feeling, we get that acceleration, or that adrenaline that starts talking to us, that can move us in a certain direction. So your intuition, whether you have, let's say on a scale from 1 to 10, you have a 1 or a 10, it really doesn't matter. But what I'd like to say is, we all have the ability to use our intuitive natures as strong, and if not stronger, than our intellect. So our intellect is, some of us have really big IQs, others, like myself, maybe middle of the road, so to speak. But our intuition can actually be a better guiding force than our intellect or our thinking or what we've actually accumulated over the years. And I do a lot of teaching with people to help them understand that they can practice with this and they can make this stronger. So as we move forward, I'm going to give you some techniques that will enhance your intuitive nature. It's important to think about, when you think about intuition, not only what you're feeling, but what you're sensing, right? So we have 5 senses. Those 5 senses are very experiential, and we're experiencing something, but those 5 senses are also intuitive. If you're seeing something, you can see beyond something. If you're hearing something, you can hear beyond something. If you're smelling something, you can smell beyond something. So consider that all of your gifts, your physical gifts, are also and can be incorporated in your intuition, right? I was 17 years old when I really started to listen to my intuition. And I'll tell you a quick little story. And I know stories are boring, but let's tell this story. So I was a professional dog trainer when I was 17, and that is pretty obscure to be a professional dog trainer at 17, but I was. And I went to work one day, and I was sitting in the office, and there was a table in the office, and I was sitting there, and I became very uncomfortable. And I really wasn't sure why I was uncomfortable, but I heard a little voice. So I wasn't really comfortable with that little voice at this time. It was something new, kind of new to me, that I was hearing it and audibly and in my mind understanding it. And the voice said to me, "Go home." And I sat there and I got more and more and more nervous. And the voice became stronger and stronger and stronger. So I said to my boss, I said, "Listen," I said, "I really don't feel good about today. I'm not feeling well. I think maybe I need to go home." So in the course of the morning, as the meeting went on and we started talking about our agenda and our appointments for the day, I was kind of, "No, we really need to get this done." I was kind of talked into it. So I went to my first appointment, and at that point I was training attack dogs. I was training off-lead attack dogs, and it was something that I enjoyed. The acceleration was amazing, the adrenaline, it was very, very, very neat. And I had raised a dog from a puppy, and I was using this puppy as, not a puppy at that point, now it's a dog. I was using this dog as an example to show a customer what we can do with the proper animal and what we can accomplish. So I guess to make a long story short, we were working with an assailant who was coming over the fence, and I was directing the dog to chase the assailant back over the fence and calling back the dog to heel and come to my left side. The dog was beautiful. So the last time we were going to do this, the assailant was coming over the fence with the full body armor, and the dog was going to actually start to bite. So before we did that, I called Scooter back. That was the dog's name, Scooter. And the dog was to my left, and I was praising the dog. Well, as I was praising the dog was barking, his jaws were going, and he brushed my face. So I ended up in the ER with plastic surgery with over 80 stitches in my face. And, I thought I was going to be Frankenstein, right, for the rest of my life. But the plastic surgeon was wonderful. And so I realized that morning sitting at the table that there was this intuitive nature that I was feeling and a voice that I heard that told me to go home that day. And I didn't listen. I learned a lot that day. I paid a significant price. I'm happy that it worked out all well and I didn't lose my eyes. I was very close to losing my eyes that day. But we all have this experience, maybe not so traumatic in that sense. It could be a voice you hear to call grandma, right? Or, maybe today I take my son or daughter to school instead of putting them on the bus. Or we know from the experience of the Twin Towers where some people woke up and decided, they didn't feel right about going to work that day. So there's an inner part of us intuitively that knows, right? There's an inner voice that talks to us that knows. And there's what I believe is a soul guide who's working with us. And in moments of clarity and moments of clear mind, that soul guide is able to talk to us in a certain way or bring us to a certain feeling or understanding of uncomfortability, and help us to make a decision about our day or about our life or about an investment or about a job or things of that nature. So it's important to start listening. Intuition can be your friend. It can also be your enemy. And not too many people will really tell you that, because your intuition is always, in my experience, very simple. It will talk to you directly. It'll give you a simple suggestion or a simple feeling for you to make a decision. It's not this complicated or drawn out or elaborate scheme. I will say to you, consider that if it becomes complicated, if it becomes elaborate or this complicated scheme, you are starting to move in it now. You are starting to use your mind in a other than intuition. You're starting to think about it, process it. Well, what does it mean? I walked out of the house and there was a dead bird on my deck, right? And is that something telling me? Well, no, the bird just died and it's there. Like, don't start thinking that, there's witches out there or somebody's planted something on your deck, or, you need a witch doctor or a psychic or somebody to tell you all this business. No. So exaggeration, intuitive exaggeration can be a problem. So remember, spirit or your intuition is simple in nature. It will tell you no. So I'll give you another example. And this is how I function all the time now. I teach classes and I'll ask people in the class, well, you woke up this morning, you got showered, you got ready for work, and you walked out of your front door, right? And you walked to your car door and got in your car. What did you see? There are people who are very, very aware, and they'll be very specific. But for the most part, my experience is most people didn't see anything. They didn't notice life. They didn't notice anything. So to enhance your intuitive skills, it really comes down to awareness, right? Your awareness. What are you looking at? What are you seeing, right? So I kind of got off track a minute, but the exercise goes like this. You look at one thing. Most of us will focus on one thing or our focus is limited in nature. We're concentrating on one thing, right? Whether it's work or whatever we're doing. When you are wherever you are, you have the ability to focus on everything all at the same time, right? So the exercise goes like this. Let's say you're in a room. Let's say you're in a bedroom, or let's say you're in an office, wherever you are. Look at the chair. Or let's say you're in the office and you're focusing on whatever you're focusing on. Focus on that. Then focus on 2 things. Then look at 3 things. Then look at 4 things. And start the practice as far as you can go till you can get to a point where you can look at everything all at the same time. Or we can take that to hearing, right? So you're outside, you hear the birds, you hear a car, you hear people speaking. You're focusing on what, if somebody's talking to you, obviously you want to focus on them, but you can focus on your hearing everything all at the same time. So the same way, 2 things, 3 things, try to focus on every sound you can hear. This broadens your perspective, and it broadens your horizon. It brings your senses to a state of overload. Once your senses come to a state of overload, you start to hear something different and you start to see something different, right? When I first started in this process some whatever years ago, it was a while ago. And I started to look at this concept based on a teacher that brought this concept to me. I found it very difficult because I was always laser focused. Once I started doing it, I started to hear something different. There's a space between you and anything you're looking at. The space itself, we can say, is empty, right? If I'm looking at a person and I'm focusing on that person, there's air and there's something between us. It's translucent in nature. We can't see anything that's in there. But what I will say to you or to consider is that space between me and you is 99% more dense than that I'm looking at. There's just a lot more going on in that space. So when you do these exercises, you have this sense, or this, what I call an overlook or an oversound. You're looking at everything all at the same time. It almost puts you in that space between what you're focusing on. Intuition is vibrant there. The sounds of voices are vibrant there. The smells are vibrant there. The other night, I did a program with some people, and I came home and my house smelled very, very different. And it was a smell that I knew. And I don't want to get into specifics. It's a beautiful smell that resonates with me. That was spirit. That was my intuitive nature, right? It doesn't matter where you are or what you're doing or how you're doing it. I mean, you could be this beautiful hiker and want to go out into the mountains, and you set your feet on the path. And if you're really, really aware, something will tell you, no, let's go this way today. I wake up in the morning, no questions asked. I get in my car. I notice everything from the front door to my car door, the ground, the leaves, the plants, the birds. I'm broadening my horizon. Folks, if you want intuition, broaden your horizons. Get out of the narrowness of life. Get into the completeness of life. Intuition is so vibrant there, right? So I'll get in my car and I'll turn the car over and something will tell me to go a different way to work, right? I used to question stuff like that. That was like, no, I'm going to go this way. And you dummy, you just sat in traffic for an hour and 45 minutes on the Long Island Expressway because the tractor trailer jumped over. It was almost like I turned the news on when I got to the Long Island Expressway, and it was like, yeah, there's a tractor trailer turned over. And I think to myself, I pulled out of the driveway and something told me to take 25A, which are just random roads that you might not know. Something told me to take 25A into Flushing, right? So it's all right there. But if you're caught up in all of those little things, and I'll say little things because all the little things start to make a big thing. And the big thing starts to be a burden. And when the burden is a ball and chain, intuition closes its door on you. It's not that it's not there. It's very much there. It's just you have limited your abilities by this tunnel vision, right? We'll talk so much more about inner work and making this intuition flourish in you. But the same way you look at everything all at the same time, your life experiencing and everything that you're going through is an external experience, right? So let's kind of break it down. What's the intuitive killer, right? The intuitive killer is all those little things that are happening that are taking you away from what? They're taking you away from this, from your ability to discern logically, to use intelligence wisely, and also to tap into spirit. Everybody says mind, body, spirit. You know, I studied with, I was very fortunate to study with some really cool people who are native to Turtle Island, if you will. And if you don't know what that is, you're going to have to figure that out. I don't want to get specific, but North America is Turtle Island. So when I studied in the early days, I realized that these people do things backwards, right? So when I started looking at, well, mind, body, and spirit, it was like, no, body, mind, body, spirit, or body, mind, spirit. It was spirit, mind, body. So I prioritize spirit. And if you prioritize spirit in your life, your intuition will flourish automatically. If you're worried about your body, good. You're going to do that. If you're worried about your mind, do that. If you're leaving your spirit last, that's okay too. But if you're aligning to your spirit, I will absolutely tell you intuitively, your mind will come into alignment and your body will come into alignment. That's universal law. That's not me. That's my opinion. Take it or leave it. Prioritize spirit in your life. This isn't, mom or dad or grandma or ghost or any of your spirit, your higher self. This has a spirit in it, and this is intuitive, right? So we have an auric field or an etheric possibility, if you consider, around us. If you put your hands out and do this, it can go further, but this is your etheric field. Anything that's moving towards you is hitting that field first before it goes into you, right? Intuitively, you can feel it. So when I trained ninjutsu years ago, we had to train blindfolded. And we had to consider that if there was a sword moving towards us, that once the sword started to move, it was too late. So we started to learn intuitively in this auric field, what are we feeling supplely outside of ourselves? So when you broaden your horizons, you broaden your awareness, you start looking at everything all at the same time. And listen, you're still going to have to focus on your wife and your children. You're still going to have to, task orientated. You're still going to have to make these things happen. But you can broaden your horizons. You can look at everything all at the same time. You can hear everything all at the same time. That is where it happens. It is a sense of sense overload. I've trained a lot of people over the years in psychic work and mediumship, and I've been doing this stuff for a while. You'll see them that they'll look somewhere, right? Where are they looking? It's almost like they're looking off into space or into this abyss, right? Remember, it's real important that the space between you and anything else holds a lot of information. It holds a lot of frequency. It holds a lot of vibration. It holds a lot of detail. And we could talk for hours and hours and hours what's in there. Physicists talk about it. They're trying to figure it out in CERN and all these places. And even the best physicists in the world know they're only like tapping into 5 or 7% of this concept or idea. They're trying to build machines to do it, right? I will unequivocally tell you, you don't have to build a machine. You don't have to go anywhere. You don't have to buy anything. You don't have to figure anything out besides this. This is the machine. This is the perfected machine. This can see pretty much anything. Not necessarily with your eyes, but in your pituitary gland or your pineal gland, in your third eye, in your stomach. You can feel it. When you walk into a room, I tell you what, I walk into a room, if I'm not feeling it, I'm not feeling it, right? I either leave or I jump. And what do I do when I jump? You guys got the meditation video. I jump to a resonant vibration or frequency that keeps me solid. Not their vibration, not their frequency. You can say whatever you want. I'm going to jump there. This is the technology. Okay? Protect this technology. Intuition, your inner self, your gut feelings, your senses in overload will tell you everything. But please remember, it is for your discernment. It is also for your interpretation. Your interpretation will be based on where your vibration and frequency is at that moment. If you are stressed, if you are fearful, if you are in a state of anxiety, you are altering that in some way, shape, or form. That's why jumping is important. That's why watching that meditation YouTube is important, because you will understand that moment when you get off the plane and that person is sitting there waiting for you. You haven't seen for weeks and months, and you are in a joyful overload of just absolute bliss. That's a memory, right? They offered that to you, but it's happening here. So when you walk into that room, you're going to know how to protect yourself. When you walk into that environment, when you walk into that store and you see somebody in a non-judgmental way, but you can see that something is wrong. You can feel something is wrong. Listen to it. Turn around and go to another store, or turn around and go home and tell your husband or wife, well, I thought you were going to the store to get milk and eggs. Well, I did, but something wasn't right there and I had to leave. And they'll probably be like, oh, honey, that's weird. You must be like getting crazy on me or something. It's like, no, I'm not getting crazy. I'm just listening to my intuition. There's a point in which I believe the human body, spirit, mind, and body come together and are absolutely beyond dynamic. You're dynamic. There's a perfected place in you. Strive for it, live for it, work on it. Please don't put any time frame on it. It doesn't need a time frame. It just is asking you, this self within yourself, this intuitive force is saying, hey, I'm in here, listen to me, right? Spirit, if you open that door, your soul guide, a contract that was made from incarnation is with you, helping you, nudging you, guiding you. If you're too clouded, you're not going to see it. It's not going to happen, right? Your higher self knows. I have friends that their feet will itch, they'll get, their ears will turn red. Look for physical signs. I mean, are there physical signs? Are you doing this? Are you doing your fingers? Are you getting nervous? What is that telling you? Is that a physical thing? Yeah, you're nervous. Why are you nervous? You're sitting there doing this with your legs, bouncing your legs. Why are you bouncing your legs? You're nervous. There's something happening. Are you conscious? Are you seeing it? Are you getting it? Because something is happening. It's physiological. It's mental. It could be some intuitive nature saying to you, hey, you need to look at this, right? Don't be fooled. Don't be looked at unfavorably. Own yourself. If you're feeling intuition, start working with it and follow the practice that I laid out if you so will. Practice. Go in a room, look at one thing, look at two things, look at three things, look at everything in the room. If you came into my room has like a billion things in it. Like I got stones and rocks and figurines and beer cans. I got masks. I got all kinds of stuff going on in here. I like my stimuluses to be overloaded because it helps me to see more, right? So work with it. Work with the sound. It's not something you have to do every second, but if you wake up in the morning, when you first wake up, before you get out of bed, and you say, I'm going to be aware of this for a minute. Yeah, you're going to get up, you're going to go to work, you're going to do all that. So just stop for a minute and really be aware of this for a minute, right? Look at this for a minute. Look at how wonderful it is. Look how beautiful it is. Look at how awesome and in gratitude and all that you can have. And I guarantee you, intuition will be your friend, your guide, and your support. And you will know what it means to make decisions and set boundaries that are good for yourself. I really love you guys. I hope this was helpful. Check me out on YouTube. Check out my website, bradfristensky.com. Email me, text me. Well, you're not going to text me because I didn't give my number out. I like to go to sleep. That's a healthy boundary. But, reach out. I like to give, and giving is a very beautiful thing. So Give to yourselves first, give to others, give and be happy. And till next time, peace out.